Today, we're going to be taking a look at what we know and what we think we know about next year's Samsung Galaxy S23 range. Okay, so when it comes to the S23, let's be honest, some of the information out there is purely speculation. But there are some things we do know, or at least have very reliable information about. The Galaxy S23 benchmarks, according to the Geekbench post from last week, may only show a 15% increase in single-core performance over the S22, which to some may be a little disappointing. But the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset in the S23 is showing significant improvements over the S22. In fact, just shy of 20% in multi-core performance. So what does all this mean in layman's terms? Well, Samsung is absolutely the way to go if you want to cloud game, or even do something a little more creative with your phone. The first thing we need to look at is the screens. While there are many people who rightly rave about the iPhone 14 Pro screen, we should really keep our eyes peeled for what the S23 range will offer. While we aren't expecting anything much different from the S23 standard line in comparison to the S22, the Ultra may just be about to top the charts in screen wars, as there are whispers of a 6.8-inch Quad HD Plus 144Hz Super AMOLED display. The S23 and S23 Plus are presumed to be equipped with a 120Hz AMOLED display, which will not change much from the S22. Sorry to those of you that were expecting a Quad HD resolution on the base models. You can also expect to see the same 6.1-inch on the S23 and a 6.6 on the S23 Plus. We can tell those sizes are pretty similar when we take a look at the S23 screen protector image we have here. Of course, with the 200 megapixel camera by Samsung already appearing on the Motorola Edge 30 not too long back, it is now widely presumed that it will be the main camera on the S23 Ultra as well. According to some rather reputable leakers, the S23 Ultra is going to show a huge improvements with its HDR processing. It means Samsung may have really upped their game when it comes to camera post-processing, and paired this with the HB2 ISO self-sensor and 200 megapixel camera, the S23 could leave the iPhone chomping its dust. We've already seen this year just how the right software tweaks next to a decent camera and sensor can just show amazing results. Just take a look at the images from the Google Pixel 7 Pro. If you remember the images from the S22, they always looked a little bit overprocessed, and while the image was great and adored by some, for me it just didn't really capture the natural essence of the shot. When it comes to what the phones will look like in comparison to the S22, we have some images from OnLeaks here, and Samsung seem to be taking a leaf out of Apple's book, as the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra could easily be mistaken for the same phone. Honestly, for us here, there are things we would love to have seen on the S23 line. Personally, I love the idea of an S Pen for the entire lineup. I'm not really a massive fan of larger phones, but the S Pen does appeal. If something as simple as that were to come as standard with the entire range, it may even be enough to get me to switch back to Samsung. Samsung could also maybe consider throwing away Bixby and pretending it never happened, which I would be a massive fan of. Also, Samsung, I know many people who would love to see you take the lead and implement graphene batteries into your devices. Imagine the possibilities. Longer battery life, even thinner phones, and they probably wouldn't start randomly expanding either. So that's all we have for you at the moment. But make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification button, as the moment we know more, you will too. Also, keep an eye on the links below, as we'll be getting cases for the S23 soon.